everybody, Abby Normal here, and I'm going to do a little channeling for the July new moon. I've got a little bit of a different background. I've done some traveling, so I'm at a friend's house here. I'm just going to relax and then we'll see what comes. There's a knock on the door. There is a whispering sound. There is a heart that is longing. There is a question as to whether or not the door will be opened. How desperately, how deeply, how passionately does the heart long for the door to be opened? Is the door locked? Is that why you cannot open it? Is that knock on the door for you? Are you afraid of what that knock on the door might mean? Perhaps you do not want to open this door because you don't know how your life will change. Are you afraid of new things? Or are you welcoming of new things, of change? Change challenges the ego. It challenges the structure. It challenges what we define as normal. Change challenges us. But if we don't change, then life will always remain as it is. Do you want your life to remain as it is because it is safer that way? Or is it time to face the music that change is the best thing that could possibly happen? And now be the one that is motivated to participate in that change. This door is a big deal. There are so many emotions related to this door. There are so many. There are so many different ways that I hear consciousness either knocking on the door, or on the other side of the door hearing the knock, or longing for a doorway to open up to new things. Sometimes it's hard. So in one of these scenarios, it really feels as though there is no doorway. And it is a longing to hear a knock at the door. It is a longing to hear somebody on the other side acknowledge, here is the door. All you have to do is follow the sound of this knock, and now the door is present. Now you can open this door. This is one of the most challenging sounds, the most challenging feelings I get from this doorway are people who cannot find that doorway to change. Their life is not presenting a doorway to change. It's complicated. Sometimes the doorway is not presented because you are afraid of taking the last doorway you could possibly take. You know there are doorways out, but is that logical? Does that make sense? Is that the appropriate doorway? Maybe patience is a doorway too. Maybe patience is the doorway that you are taking and waiting for something more balanced with your heart to come along. There's so many questions constantly right now. I'm experiencing so many thoughts in the mind, so many perceptions on a doorway and what it means from so many different angles. It's like millions and billions of souls coming to a doorway or not coming to a doorway, longing for a doorway, ready to make movements, ready to make changes from so many different angles. So where are you at in all of this? What does your doorway look like? Do you even have a doorway? Do you even know where it is? Perhaps patience is your doorway. Because in the end, it's a choice, right? There always is some alternative, but does it really make sense? I always can just stop what I'm doing and go become a prostitute and start doing drugs on the street. I can do that. That's a choice. I could stop what I'm doing, remove my YouTube channel, go work at Walmart. That's a choice. Does it make sense though? Is it really aligned with where I'm going in my life? So if I have something in my life that is calling me to make changes, I don't know how to make those changes, then I choose the doorway of patience, right? So I'm just going to pause for a moment here. This is a fascinating conversation because I've been experiencing lots of motivations that tell me my life is shifting and changing. For me, I feel quite happy with where I am, but I know that I too am still growing and I too have places I want to go beyond where I am at right now. I'm not in a place of misery. Some people are in a very confusing debacle, very challenging, confusing mess of a life scenario. Could be related to physical ailments, could be related to relationship challenges, could be related to a financial confusing mess. We're dealing with kids and relationships and money and career, and all of this stuff seems to blow up all at one time. And now what do? I don't even have a clue. We have people in all different places right now, but I think the biggest message about this is about the doorway, about new moving and changing and molding in new directions. I'm just going to pause here for a moment. It's interesting because as I'm doing this channeling for the July new moon, it's sort of my mind. Part of the message is that I, Abby, am not allowed to sort of like my mind. They're working with me, making me feel like I have too many things on my mind, too much to think about. I actually don't have a lot to think about. I really do not have a lot on my mind. But this channeling, the energy with this channeling is like I'm overwhelmed in my mind. I am overwhelmed with thoughts. I am overwhelmed with trying to make decisions. I am overwhelmed with wondering where I am going in my life or wondering where I am to go next. And it's sort of like lots of consciousnesses. So my soul is one, but my soul is many, right? So as I'm doing this channeling, I'm somehow like plugged into a lot of the world. And it's like so many, like, what do I do next? It's interesting because I've tried to find portals of other kinds. So what about love? What about romance? Is there any kind of romance going on with this new moon? What about, some sort of huge earth shifts, earthquakes or tsunamis or something crazy like that? Is there anything like that going on with this new moon? No. The only thing that keeps coming blatantly, blasting in my head is thinking really hard about where I'm going next and what I'm going to do next and how I will get through this and where's my doorway and what is the doorway of patience, and I don't want the doorway of patience. It's just so many thoughts blasting in my head. That is what the message is about this July new moon. And we're all on different pages. We are all on different pages. Some of us are actually in a place of peacefulness, but even still, we are still growing and we are still going places. Some of us are in a real conundrum, don't have a freaking clue how to get out of this one. So now we have only the doorway of patience, because the reality is, well, we can, go become prostitute drug users. We can all do that if we want to. We can all go buy a gun today and kill somebody if we want to, right? Because we have that choice. We can choose that. But does that really make sense? Is that really where we are going in our life? So the doorway of patience seems to be the only real option. That really is now. Is that really the only real option? So you just allow it to be your choice. You choose then patience. Spirit is smiling and giggling on the other end of this and saying, wow, the things Abby can come up with by just showing her a simple doorway. It's like, I'm not the only one in this conversation here. You people show me this stuff and then I hear all this crap in my head and feel all this stuff going on. You're influencing this message, and yes, I can come up with some things. Like the Walmart job or the prostitution. Extreme stuff. That came from me. That was not my spirit guides talking there. Okay, there's a delightful message here about spiritual connections. Discovering that you're not alone, and delightful interactions, spiritual interactions. invisible ones, and ones manifesting as other human beings in your life. Really wonderful friendships. Giggling and joking and talking fluidly about deep, meaningful stuff, spiritual stuff. We're spiritual people, right? You're watching this video because you're a spiritual person. And a lot of spiritual people are really longing to have other spiritual people to talk to converse with about the weird stuff, about the confusing stuff, about the ideas, about the desires, about the I want to grow more, I want to learn new ways of doing things, but have people to connect with that get you on the same page as you. That too is part of this message about the July new moon. It's not just about that. Spirit doesn't want to just focus on the challenges of opening new doors in your life and making steps forward. Because for some it is it's a challenging scenario, but for others, it might not be. But in the end, Spirit really wants to influence a tidal wave of energy to talk about friendships. Really meaningful ones, and even spiritual ones. Because we don't realize the spirit realm is just as real as our reality. It's just on a different dimension of reality. So spirits are just as physical as we are. They're just in a different dimension of physicality. So spirits are our friends too. They're just invisible to us in this dimension. So we can have friends in the spirit realm as well. We can have angelic friends. We can have alien friends. Why can't we see the alien beings? Well, they're also on another dimension. They can alter dimensions. They can become more physical or less. I don't know how that works. I'm a human being. I have a freaking clue how this works. But I'm starting to discover this stuff. Interdimensional communications and discovering of the physicality of other dimensions is just as physically real as what we perceive as physicality. So the reality is our physicality is just as light body as some other dimension that we would perceive as spiritual. It's just their perception of the dimension. But we're talking about interdimensional communication, not just human friendships, but interdimensional friendships. And it's super positive stuff. Discovering that this isn't about just you opening the doorway, figuring out this stuff by yourself, but realizing you're surrounded by love in all different dimensions, times and places, and it's beautiful. Feeling like you have people who understand you and can help you. Just by being a good listener, they help you. Maybe they don't have a solution either, except for the patient doorway. Just be patient on this one. And even if patient means another year, at least you have a friend who understands, right? Not just a human friend, but interdimensional friendships. They're really they're really lightening the load, as if things are just going to get lighter and easier on some other level because there is more heartfelt connections. That too is part of the message. They're talking about blessings at the doorway, blessing this door, and welcoming you to come out of the door and show yourself to the world without fear of expression. Expressing yourself without fear. Whenever I think about expressing without fear, I always think about Marilyn Manson, because that guy he sort of started a whole new wave of how to express yourself on a whole other level of extreme. He totally changed and warped people's perspectives on religion, Christianity, a hardcore way. He just chose to be himself on some extreme level, right? So if that guy can't have fear and can change the world just in a Marilyn Manson kind of way, then what are you afraid of? Why are you afraid of yourself? Why are you afraid of yourself? Was Marilyn Manson afraid of himself? Or was he just so desperate to be himself on some extreme way he couldn't help it but just to be this extreme? What if you could be this extreme? What would it look like? Doesn't have to look like, white face, black hair, whatever, leather pants. It could be, who knows, some other way of expressing yourself. Doesn't have to be expression through clothes or makeup or hair. It could be expressing yourself from your voice, from speaking from the heart, speaking through vulnerability that now manifests confidence and empowerment. Not to be afraid, though, of expressing yourself. Come out of from behind the doorway. Stop thinking about how to, and just start actively participating. Because sometimes actively participating in the one thing that makes you the most nervous is what helps you get to the next level on your spiritual journey. For instance, people really want to learn how to become psychic. And so they're going to change their diet. They're going to start doing yoga. They're going to do all these things in order to become psychic. When they don't do the one thing they really need to do, which if you're going to start just learning how to become psychic, you start choosing to participate in being psychic. You start using your psychic senses. Well, where are they? How do I use my psychic senses? All right, well, just start speaking about what you feel is the truth about a psychic reality. All right, I'm just gonna speak out whatever comes to mind about what 2018 looks like. So in 2018 I see this, that, and the other thing happening. Okay, well, now you're working on something. Now you're actively exploring what this means and how you might do this. You're just actively exploring how it feels in your heart when you just start talking about what you perceive as the future. Maybe take a topic like human ascension. Now speak about this as though you know something from a higher frequency dimension, and to see what comes out. Now you're actively working on developing psychic ability through just trying it out. Without having a clue how to be psychic, you just try it out. And then you work on it and you start noticing things like, I'm starting to feel really sensitive when I talk about this subject. It feels like love, or it feels scary to talk about this. But why? So now you're starting to develop yourself. Not by just changing your diet and doing yoga, but by participating, right? So walking through the doorway, changing the frequency patterns of your life balance, part of that is actively doing things differently without having a freaking clue. So there's this topic that I've been just recently sort of came up in the last 24 hours, which is fascinating timing for this discussion. All about light languages, right? Everybody has the ability to express a light language. It's just speaking sounds from the heart that make you feel childlike, or make you feel deep, or make you feel pure love, or make you feel longing. Speak it. It doesn't have to have a language. That's the beautiful part. As a human being, being able to just express through sounds, like, it's like even when you make love, you express through sounds, right? That's so natural and it's healing, right? When you are really excited about something, sometimes you're like, yeah! Like, what is that exactly? It's expression through sounds. When you are really upset about something, you just, I'm gonna do, and you express through sounds, whatever those might be. They might be cuss words over and over and over again. That's light language. Cuss words over and over and over and over again is the darker side of light language. It's expression through sounds, right? Expression through sounds. So if you want to go further with it and just let go of language itself, because language is identified, right? So we speak English. What does love mean? Love is light language. The word love itself is light language. We know the translation of love. So we say love, love, love over and over and over again. We feel positive energy from that. We say I fucking hate you over and over and over again. We feel light language energy from that. Negative light language energy from that. So let's take out what is the definition of the word and now just speak fluently, just gibberish or whatever. But somehow in the expression of alternative sounds, it's healing for the body. It's healing for the senses. It's healing for other people's senses because they don't have a freaking clue what you're saying. But somehow that helps. So now we're starting to develop a discovery that I can interact with speaking sounds, and I can feel things in my heart when I speak them. And I just speak these sounds and I envision that I'm healing your heart as I am speaking them, and it feels really good inside my own heart to do this. Now we're sharing energy. Now we're sharing healing with each other. Not by doing anything logically normal that any of this makes any sense. We're just stepping out of our comfort zone, stepping outside of the box, and coming out of the door and discovering ourselves by doing weird stuff, by doing things differently, but doing it with love, right? Spirit keeps indicating interdimensional relationships and connections. When you start learning how to speak light language, you start connecting frequencies connecting with other frequencies that are of the like kind. And now you're working with energies that are here to help promote your self-discovery and development of this gift and ability. Don't even have a freaking clue what it is. It just feels right. So you go with it, right? They're really talking about this. New moon. People really thinking about the next step. What is going to come next in my life? How do I find that next doorway? Okay, the doorway is here, but I don't have the confidence to walk through it. I don't have the confidence to do things differently. I don't have the confidence to face my fears. Well, now it's your fault. It's your problem that you are not. It's not the patient doorway scenario. It's now the fear. I am a fear-based scenario. I am afraid to speak my truth because I'm afraid what other people will think of me. I'm afraid what people at my job are going to think. I'm afraid I might lose my job. I'm afraid, of all this stuff. Now you're living everybody else's life instead of your own life. It's your fault. Your situation here. Nobody else's situation but yours. It's all in your own head. If you're trying to find a doorway around this one, the only doorway is to go through this doorway and face your fear and discover that you're now alive more than ever before because you're yourself. And however anybody else is going to digest you being yourself is for them. Because you being yourself is you being alive. Fully alive. See what I'm saying here? Do you get it? It's what Spirit's talking about. So for July new moon, to summarize, we're all ready to continue to grow and make new changes and something on the spiritual level, stepping to a higher plateau of our own persona, of expressing ourselves through love on a higher spiritual platform, and discovering interdimensional friendships and human friendships and growing from those and feeling loved and supported. And knowing that through love and support, you can carry a mountain with no problem. But if you continue to just single yourself out, be alone, and try to solve your problems all by yourself, it's a lot harder to carry those mountains. But it seems as though that there's going to be the manifestation of connected groups, more and more than ever before. That's part of the message, is to welcome the love. Welcome the love. Do it. Just do it. Alright, that's it. So I'm going to share for this July new moon wisdom video. I hope it gives you some new things to think about. I hope it gives you something to think about in the way of moving forward with your life. What are you afraid of? What is your situation? Welcoming love and connectedness. Facing your fears and doing things differently. Discovering your psychic ability by just saying, you know what, dang it, I'm tired of trying all these methods when the one thing I should be doing to discover my psychic ability is just start being psychic. You just try it out. That's all you do. Friend is talking to you about their relationship and you say, okay, just hold on. I want to try and see if I can be psychic about this. All right, I'm just going to go to another place here. Okay. All right, there's something I want to tell you. There's something I've always seen about this relationship, and I've never said it before. But this is what it feels like. And as I continue to feel this in your relationship, I really feel that, the future looks like this. But it might not look like that because there's something about you that I also feel like you need to work on this. And if you worked on that, I think the connectedness between you both would really flourish, and that the real future for you both is something extraordinary and exquisite. But right now you're dealing with some sort of emotional frictions that neither of you are really facing together. You're facing it separately, and that's not a relationship. Bam, now you're being psychic. Or maybe you're just a really good friend that's observant. Maybe that's what psychic is pulling in really amazing observations that heal people. It's not just about, well, this is going to happen in your future and this and that and the other thing. Actually getting to know them on the heart level and helping them to discover themselves, and now help them to grow from that. Help them to see the relationship from another higher perspective through love energy. You have this in you. Everybody has this ability. And the more you tap into it from this angle of all knowing, I am angle, and just, give it a shot without saying, I know it all, but just saying, well, it feels like this. You start to discover you're quite wise. You're very wise. You aren't going to discover your wise side by doing yoga poses and eating good foods. That's healthy. That's healthy. That's blood flow. That's balance. That's harmony. But you got to keep working. You got to keep moving in a direction of expression, active involvement in being that which you want to be. I want to be psychic. How do I become psychic? Well, changing your diet is not going to manifest the ability to start speaking as a psychic. You have to actually do the speaking part. You actually have to do the communication part. Because if you don't practice that, it's never going to happen. That's part of the new moon of July, is discovering you have a gift and stepping into it by just saying, you know what, I'm a dodo brain on this, but I'm going to try it out by just saying I'm psychic, and then see what happens. Even if it doesn't come out, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. You will be pleasantly surprised. Okay, I'm done. I'm done talking. I really am done. Okay, I wish you all a wonderful rest of your July. I wish you a wonderful July new moon. I wish you all the best. If you're interested in connecting with me one-on-one through a psychic service, definitely visit me at my website at abbynormalswisdomquest.com. I wish you a wonderful day.